Mon Amour. The university had begun to compile lists of all human remains on its premises, not just in the university collections, and including ancient remains. An email arrived in my inbox asking for the following: please, can you send to me information on materials less than 100 years old? Includes bone, teeth, hair, skin, nails, saliva, i.e. collected for DNA analysis, etc., etc. The email explained that this list needed to comply with the Human Tissue Act guidelines for the university's annual return. If I was unsure how to report this and the details required, I was to contact the designated individual for the Human Tissue Authority, Dr. Risk. I'd dreamt of the bomb, his face crawling through flames. That afternoon, I gave up trying to keep up with the emails and closed the curtains. The room felt dark and cool, and I flicked through my library of DVDs. In Casablanca, Humphrey Bogart smiled, the crinkles of tiredness under his eyes like a way into another world. Jimmy Stewart was peering from the case of Rear Window, where Grace Kelly, perpetually beautiful, moved forever towards him in her black and white dress. Emmanuel Riva gazed out distraught from the arms of Eiichi Okada on the case of Hiroshima, Mon Amour. Here's looking at you. In my half-awake state, the films intertwined. Over the road in the drama school, the musical theatre students were practicing for their end-of-year performance. On the top floor, actors were rehearsing sword fights. From my bedroom, with a pair of birding binoculars, I would have been able to experience the fight almost as if I were in the same room. A lone voice sang out, resonant, full of something I could only call optimism. Drowsily, my mind flitted along the lines of song. At night, the building was lit up and towered over the line of Georgian terraces like an oversized Greek temple. My neighbour had installed a camera in his window box. It sat there like a cyclops or an unlegged octopus, surreally tied to an artificial rose between a blotch of purple and yellow pansies. I was not exactly sure what the neighbour was watching out for, and it seemed there was no law against the camera being there. Its infrared eye blinked frequently, monitoring my steps and the steps of my visitors up and out of the house. One morning, I took a photograph of it on my mobile phone. Blink. I didn't want my friends to think I had succumbed to paranoia. Sometimes small packets were misdelivered, and I reposted them back through his letterbox. The man who lived in the adjacent house and the terrace stopped me in the street one day and told me I was a disgrace to my profession. I was not even sure he knew what I did. Later he wrote me an unsigned letter reinforcing my need for personal shame, insisting I cut down the tree in my backyard which towered across the rooftops. All afternoon I lay there in an old vest and pants with my hair tied up on the top of my head, watching the dark fall and running films back to back. I watched Miss Torso and Miss Lonely Heart and dangled my limbs over the edge of the sofa. I watched dust fall on bodies as dust became sweat. The man's body and the woman's body were indistinguishable. Outside, the smell of dope and beer and the cathedral bells all knotted up together. Nobody called, and the street seemed preternaturally empty, aside from the dealers who hung around smoking on the drama school steps. Not for the first time did I think how glad I was of the summer and its showers and breezes. Yet all the landscapes I held within me seemed to be receding. I watched as the two naked bodies moved intimately on the screen and remembered that whole day in the attic room and the window that opened onto apple trees. Mon Amour. I saw the newsreels. I saw them on the first day, on the second day, on the third day. He, interrupting her, you saw nothing, nothing. The screen flickered. It was hard to look at the piles of bodies, the skin, the hair, the bones. I thought about truth and I thought about lies. I thought about love and all its erasures. Knowing that desire was a series of chemical and neuronal firings better accustomed me to the dead feeling at my centre. I thought about desire and how it made the body something other than itself. I thought about the outlines of bodies at crime scenes and the permeability of the skin that created such an unstable outline to the self. I thought about the soldiers who had returned from war with lost limbs and eyes. I thought about the perpetual loop of trauma. I thought, for no reason I could fathom, of Werner Forssmann, the scientist who pushed 65 centimetres of catheter through his body and then took an X-ray to prove that it was in his heart. From the edges of my vision, I was sure I saw a wolf slip with its yellow eyes from behind the bookcase to the room next door. I didn't want to check. The room was filled with a strange scent. Then the doorbell rang. The screen flickered. Skin, bones. A doctor had said to me, "We will watch and wait." Something I knew was only beginning. Something I knew was at an end.